to that place to
Oh, yeah,
jump
yeah,
on.
right.
Wow, amazing.
Really?
Yeah, very well organized. Been down by the old naval air station.
Oh,
So by the big king.
is there a line?
Huge, but they was so efficient.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's-
yeah.
Sorry, Doug, see, he didn't have it all prepared.
Yeah, I took care of it.
I
Yeah,
guess it was all part of it.
it was. So anyway, you see it just. Was there enough light one there?
Ron's supposed to be the chair, Ron McConnell.
This year,
Oh, is he? Oh, good.
we're live already, so it's okay, but I'm just letting you know. I had started early. That's all. Alaska. The chair.
Voice comes out. Off and on, my voice, old man voice. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this morning's service, general service. My name is Ron Nakano. I'll be chairing today's service. Begin this morning with sutra chanting, San Bujo, on pages 24 and 25. Onana Sutra chanting Junirai on page 67. Would you please stand now for the reading of our first it's in the white book, Shinran's Family, on page 128. Next Sunday is home call, and we're going to do that Gatha, so this is practice time. purple book, on page 8, we'll have the three treasures one.
Three treasures on page 8. Hard is it to be born into human life, now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Blessed One, now we hear it. If we do not realize the truth in this life, when will it be realized? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we absorb ourselves in the principle of the way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves the supreme will. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we be submerged in the depths of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we live in harmony in the great assembly as disciples of Buddha and be freed from all hindrances, becoming units of true accord in a life of harmony in the spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriad ages of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teachings. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. Namanda. Please be seated.
Well, now I have this morning Dharma's talk, Reverend Fujimoto Sensei.
Good morning.
Morning.
Ohayou gozaimasu. Before I begin, this was left in the social hall 2 weeks ago. So someone should know by now. You're missing something? Okay. You can pick it up at the end of service. People were outside admiring the temple. We had the merit pruners here yesterday, trimming everything in the main part of the garden, and so it always looks nice and refreshed after they come in and trim and clean up. So big endeavor by them, and we're very appreciative of all their work and everyone that helped for the day. Today I have a Dharma talk, and you will all recognize it. It's a parable of the blind man and the elephant. Okay, many of us, I think all of us, have heard this before, and it's a story, parable about the blind man who had never come across an elephant before, and was asked to come to the elephant, to touch the elephant, different parts of the elephant, and each one of these blind men would touch a different portion of the elephant and tell what they had come to know, what they thought the elephant was. Okay? And they described it based on their very limited experience, touching only one part of the elephant. So each of their descriptions were very different from each other. Okay? And the reason I'm telling this story is that we recently, just this past week, we had a I Hope program where a number of the ministers from throughout the Buddhist churches of America gathered for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of this past week, and they had lectures and things and presentations. It's kind of a study session for the ministers to continue their education. And we had three main speakers, and one of them was Reverend Tetsuya Uno from Honganji. So he zoomed in from Honganji, and he's the leader of their human rights division at Honganji. And so I went on Thursday, I went there, and the ministers are sitting in their Kodo room, and he's on the Zoom screen. And as I'm listening to him, he's talking about different stories. He's talking about this story, about the blind man and the elephant, and kind of wondering, why are we receiving this presentation? And so afterwards, after he gave his talk, and we divided into two groups, and the two groups discussed different aspects of what he presented, and Harada Sensei was in our group. Why are we doing this particular presentation from Honganji? And so he kind of explained that, I don't know how long ago, but recently there was an article in the Wheel of Dharma written by one of our, it's in the Japanese section, so one of our ministers very, very briefly mentioned this story, okay? And so he didn't go into detail, and there was not much there apparently, but he referenced this story about the blind man and the elephant. And I think he used the word blind man, whereas now we might say visually impaired, right? So someone at Honganji read the article and brought this to other people's attention over there. And so we were concerned maybe we don't have enough awareness here at BCA that we would do something, use words that are now considered insensitive. So because of this one small portion of an article, he's the head of the whole, I didn't even know they had a human rights department, right? And so he's lecturing to all the ministers about this, and I don't know, seems awkward to us tell the story of the 6 visually impaired people and the elephant. But this is the reason why. But as I looked at the story and I thought about it, I thought, still, it's a good story. I'm not going to change the words, but there's many, many versions of this story, and it goes from way back from very early, from time Buddhist and Hindu traditions. Jainism uses this story, and others as well, and so they use this story and to be able to tell the lessons of human beings and their limitations of their, when they come to understand or know something, or they think they know something. So the basic story is that they had a group of blind men, and they had heard about this strange animal that was called an elephant. And so the elephant was brought into town, maybe kind of like a circus thing would come to town here, and so these blind men had never experienced, had never seen, obviously, an elephant before, so they had received special permission to come in contact with the elephant, and they thought they could, at least by touch, come to know what this elephant was about, okay? And so they were each brought to a different portion of the elephant, and so the first person touched the trunk of the elephant, very flexible, kind of large. The elephant, this is like a very thick snake. That's what an elephant is. And another one came, and he touched his ear. So he's touching the elephant's ear. So an elephant is kind of like a fan, And so each one touching a different portion. Another one put his hand on the leg. Okay, so an elephant, it's kind of like a tree trunk. This is like a stump of a tree. An elephant's like a tree. And the fourth one was brought to touch the side of the elephant. So, the elephant is like a wall, just like a wall. Okay. And another one was asked to touch the tail. So he's at the other end of the elephant and he's touching the tail. Elephants are like rope. So the elephant's much like a rope. So experiencing the tail, this was his conclusion. And the last one is asked to touch the tusk. So smooth and hard. So an elephant. This is like a spear, the end of a spear. So that's what an elephant is like. So some of the stories, they have basically these types of sharing what they experienced the elephant to be. And the blind men start to argue in some versions, and arguing so much that each one thought they were right, they would start fighting. They would come to blows because each one thought they were right, and no one is listening to what their description was, right? And in other versions, they were asked to stop talking and start to listen to each other. So as they came to listen to each other, maybe they could collaborate their different versions and come to a different perspective, a fuller perspective of what an elephant was. Okay. So in another version still, a man who could see was brought into the area, and he gave his perspective, telling all the blind men what he sees of this elephant, and telling them that this part is the trunk that you were describing, this part is the ear that you were describing, this part is the tail that you were describing. And so they came to see that they were partially correct, but partially wrong, and overall wrong. Okay, so what they had thought they had known was not the totality of the whole elephant. Okay, and so this is what the story of the elephant is, right? And we've heard this kind of story, and then, each in the Hindu version slightly different. In Jainism they're slightly different, and there's kind of a Buddhist version too. And in this story, same story, but a king invited the group of blind men to come to the capital and brought into the castle. And there was an elephant that was brought in, and they're asked to describe it. So the same kind of story, each one touching a different portion. Right? So they're asked by the king, what had you come to know about the elephant? What sort of thing is an elephant? So they each describe the different parts, and they can't come to agree. And in this story, they start arguing, fighting, come to blows. And so the Buddha used this story he's comparing the blind men to the other preachers, the teachers, scholars that were, at the time of the Buddha. He had gone into the forest, and this is like their university, right? So each of the teachers would be sitting here, sitting there, gathering with their disciples, and people would sit with them and listen and ask questions, and and go maybe stay with them or go to another teacher, listen to what they're saying about the truths of the world, and listen, ask questions, and go on. And this is their opportunity to learn and study. And so the Buddha is describing these other teachers as the blind men, telling their limited perspective of what they had come to know, right? And so telling people that they're very much like the blind men, so they are describing certain portions and not the whole picture. We're trying to explain so you can know the complete picture. And it said that he wrote some kind of poem about it to describe it, and the ending of the poem was saying, for such folks, they are all quarreling, but they're only seeing one side. Okay. So this is a Buddhist portion of this same parable, and basically the end teaching of this parable is that human beings have a tendency they think they have this absolute truth that they had come to understand, but it's based on their very limited subjective experience. Okay, so it's always limited, and they ignore other people's perspectives of the same thing. Okay? And so I think we see that all the more when we look around, when we listen to the news today. So many stories, so arguments going on, wars going on, and we can tie this story. Everyone thinks they're right. They don't want to listen to someone else. to the extent of coming to blows, but each one maybe just a limited perspective, looking at this portion of what they had come to know and ignoring another portion of what someone else has come to know. Maybe they need someone else, a person who can see, to step into the room. Maybe they need to collaborate and come together and discuss matters, and not just the wars, but so many things. Time and again, we're hearing these kind of things. Perfect example of the 6 blind men touching an elephant. So this I wanted to share with you today. We hear it often in reference, but it rings so true. And I think that's why it has lasted for centuries and centuries throughout human experience. And there's a joke that had come through the story of the 6 blind men and the elephant. And it kind of twists the story. There's 6 blind elephants. They're sitting in a room, okay? And they're discussing, and they decided to wondering, what is a man, right? So they were argued a little bit, and they thought through their experience they could come to know what a man was. So one of the blind elephants went and sought a man and brought him to the group, and he says, a man is flat. Okay. And the other elephants touched the man that he had brought, and they all agreed. The elephant sat on the man. The man is flat. They all agreed the man is flat. Okay. Please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida. Namo Amida. Namo Amida. Namo. Thank you.
Thank you, Sensei. No comment. Finally, we'll have got the Onbok-san in the purple book on page 220. Please be seated. I'd like to now acknowledge hello? Hello? Can you hear me now? I'd like to acknowledge the help that the temple received in preparing for the service today, the flower arrangements, the fixing of all the things up at the altar. What else? The organist who also doubles as a prompter to whisper in the chairperson's ear. people who will offer altar offerings. Let's see. Refreshments. Are there any newcomers to the temple today? Okay, be that way. Let's see. If there is anyone who's new or hasn't been here for a while, you're welcome, and thank you for your attendance, participation. Next Sunday is Honko. Yotoki is going to be a traditional vegetarian Honko lunch. Joyce Maniwa is in charge of that. You want to say anything about that, Joyce?
No. You already said it's going to be a traditional, I don't know about traditional, but it will be vegetarian.
Well, it's our tradition.
Japanese. It's our Buddhist Alameda Buddhist Temple's tradition. Yes.
Right. Yeah. I remember it well. As a kid, I really didn't like that kind of food, but as I get older and maybe a little wiser, I do appreciate the more mature flavors, I guess. Do you need any help on Saturday?
We're going to start, if anybody wants to come and help, we're going to start at 10 o'clock.
Okay. If you want to learn some Japanese cooking or just want to practice your vegetable cutting, meet at 10 o'clock on Saturday. Let's see. The Sunday after that, November 6th, is a family service. It's an Ask Reverend Dennis service, and the November birthday service also. And Jane, you have anything that you want to say?
General meeting is on Bodhi Day.
What day is that? Second Sunday?
Second Sunday.
Second Sunday. Okay, I guess. Anything? Okay, well, that concludes today's service. Thank you for all your attendance and your participation. Can you come up and do a shoko? I guess we have some refreshments. I brought some donuts at least. Okay, thank you.